At the University of Cambridge, most of the colleges offer awards for students who play the organ and sing in choirs. These awards, usually called organ and choral scholarships, provide a great opportunity for anyone who loves music, no matter what their background or what career they might want to follow. If you are a Cambridge applicant in any subject who is interested in playing the organ or singing in a chapel choir, then please spend a few minutes watching this film. It is primarily geared towards potential organ scholars, but it gives a good overview of choral music in Cambridge for those applying for choral scholarships. Cambridge has an excellent collection of organs, allowing its organ scholars access to superb practice and performance facilities. Some of the instruments have been in Cambridge for hundreds of years. Some are almost untouched, some are brand new, others have been rebuilt by succeeding generations. All are different in style. In addition, there are excellent pianos and also harpsichords, virginals and clavichords, some of which are hundreds of years old. Life as an organ or choral scholar varies from college to college. Most organ and choral scholars are primarily responsible for providing music for regular services in their college chapel. Most of the chapel choirs have about 20 to 28 singers, both men and women. 3 have men and boys choirs. At some colleges, if you are an organ scholar, you might be playing for several services a week. In others, you may have to play for services in chapel only once or twice a week. In about a third of the colleges, the organ scholar is solely responsible for directing and organising chapel music.
Essentially what the organ scholar does in a college that doesn't have a director of music is they run the choir. That means they cover the organ playing, the conducting, the recruiting of the choir, the auditioning of the choir and the training of the choir. Alongside that, the organ scholars plan cathedral visits, recordings, tours. Very often the choir will tour abroad once a year. Some colleges do have academic directors of music, which means that the director of music doesn't have anything to do with the chapel. And so the organ scholars essentially acts as the chapel director of music.
In other colleges, you will assist a part-time director of music who may be involved in teaching the organ scholars about conducting and accompanying and will provide administrative support. You can divide duties according to your main interests and strengths, and this may vary from year to year.
The image of the organ scholar being up in the organ loft, very detached from the choir, doesn't hold true. One of the things I value about the organ scholarship is communal music making, actually.
There are also colleges where a director of music takes full responsibility for conducting and administering the chapel choir. There, the organ scholar is responsible for playing the organ for all services, concerts and recordings. In these colleges, the commitment is significant, with several services and rehearsals each week. But you'll be working under a professional conductor and often touring, recording and performing with professional orchestras and soloists, sometimes under guest conductors.
Many of the colleges which have a director of music, in fact, have a heavier chapel workload. On the other hand, that workload is shared between the organ scholar and the director of music, and part of the job of the director of music is to monitor very carefully the progress of the organ scholar and to make sure that he or she is not going to be overloaded.
Teaching at Cambridge centres around a flexible system of supervisions, classes and lectures. For those studying humanities subjects, it is easy to build a weekly schedule around your duties as an organ or choral scholar. A music degree both complements your chapel music activities and also broadens your musical horizons, offering you the opportunity to study in depth harmony, counterpoint, analysis and a broad range of historical topics, as well as ethnomusicology and the psychology of music. There are also many libraries and archives, and whatever your particular interest, you can arrange to work with original manuscripts and even make your own scholarly editions. For those of you hoping to study subjects like engineering or natural sciences, where lab times are predetermined, you need to be very organised to hold an organ or choral scholarship as well, but it can certainly be done, and very successfully.
Most organ scholars here in Cambridge actually read music, but I'm reading medicine during my time here, which is fairly unusual. I'm one of 2 reading medicine and doing an organ scholarship.
Check the current prospectus for the colleges that will allow you to study medicine as an organ scholar.
Okay, now you sense that those are 4 equal crotchets. In fact, you know where the metrical stress is. When you do them as crotchets, strong, weak, down.
Most Cambridge organ scholars study with visiting teachers. There are a number of teachers who come to Cambridge 3 or 4 times a term, so you probably have a lesson once every 2 weeks. And you can study with anyone you please. All of the colleges subsidise organ lessons to quite a high amount, so you should be able to afford to have as many lessons as you want. If the teacher you want doesn't come to Cambridge, then you might go down to London if that's where they're based. One of the organisations that all organ scholars are members of as soon as they come up is something called the Organ Scholars Forum. And the Organ Scholars Forum puts on 1 or 2 activities per term, which all organ scholars are invited to. And they include things like masterclasses with big name visiting organists often from Europe, or choral conducting masterclasses with specific clinicians in choral conducting.
Much looser, yeah? To be allowed to be, and
all Organ Scholars Forum events are followed by parties, which are enormously good fun, and lots of organ scholars participate, and it's a good chance for you to get together with your friends.
One of the best things about being an organ or choral scholar at Cambridge is the number of like-minded people you'll be surrounded by. Your chapel choir will be full of people who love to sing and who love the same kind of music that you love.
You obviously spend a lot of time as an organ scholar with your choir, which has all of them have active social lives. Everybody says, we're the friendliest choir in Cambridge. Well, they're all friendly.
You will also find yourself living and working with people who study philosophy, sciences, medicine, linguistics, and every other imaginable discipline.
I think that breadth of experience that you get by being among people who are not all musicians is one of the great things that is on offer here.
We generally expect organ scholarship candidates to have a good pass at grade 8 or equivalent and to be confident sight readers. The Royal College of Organists exams, especially the Cert RCO and ARCO, are excellent preparatory steps to take as well, and provide a good example of the kinds of tests that we will give you at your audition.
I know we say that you should have a minimum of a good pass at grade 8. Just because you don't actually have a piece of paper that said, I took grade 8, doesn't mean that you're not at the right kind of standard.
If a candidate has innate musicianship and musical intelligence, the lack of a particular background in this or that period or style of choral music, I don't think should be seen as a disadvantage.
Choral scholar applicants need not have taken associated board exams, although many will have done so. We are looking for people with a love of choral singing and with some choral experience. Before taking up an organ scholarship, it's worth getting experience playing the organ at a local church and finding singers to conduct at the church or at school. Potential choral scholars might also think about singing in a church or cathedral choir if you haven't done so before. It is quite a different experience from a concert choir. Whatever subject you apply for, you should be aware that standards here are high. Successful applicants will need to attain the highest level of academic achievement. There are many musical benefits to being an organ or choral scholar at Cambridge. You'll be trained as an apprentice, learning by working with a more experienced colleague or teacher.
In the colleges where there's a director of music, there's a great mentorship programme whereby the director of music is in charge of making sure that the organ scholars learn the various tricks of the trade, including accompaniment, conducting, the administration, how to choose a liturgical music list.
Choirs often get together for joint concerts and services, and most chapel choirs have regular concert and touring programmes.
We've had amazing tours. I went to the Czech Republic, and then last year we went to Singapore and Australia. And this year we're going to Slovenia, Austria and Switzerland, and then the next year somewhere exotic, possibly South America, possibly Japan again. I mean, that's a big benefit. And musically it's great as well, because on tour the focus is the music, and you get to work steadily over a period of weeks at repertoire, and you really see huge improvements in the choir. I mean, that's really rewarding.
Performing regularly in public, often several times a week, provides an excellent training in both musicianship and confidence.
An organ scholar has very many opportunities open to him or her. In some of the colleges, of course, the choirs work with professional orchestras and soloists and make recordings for television and CDs, and all of these activities open up possibilities for organ scholars, what they can learn from observing and indeed sometimes performing with professional players and singers, what they can learn about the techniques, for example, of television production or of recording techniques for CD, are all things which enrich their experience and widen the range of possibilities for jobs that they could go into in later life.
Many choral scholars go on to professional singing careers when they graduate, as soloists and as members of choirs such as the 16 and the Monteverdi Choir. Organ scholars often go on to professional musical careers as directors of music in cathedrals, major parish churches, or as freelance performers. For those who plan to spend at least part of their career working in the rich field of church music, the opportunities offered by Cambridge are invaluable. Organ scholars have also gone on to careers as conductors, pianists, repetiteurs and singers.
You can go into lots of different careers. Organ scholars have gone into cathedrals. You can also go into teaching, freelance work in London and elsewhere. Lots of other things. Other organ scholars have gone off at a tangent and done something completely different, like accounting and things like that. So all sorts of things you can do.
There are open days every spring for both organ and choral scholars, and you are always welcome to contact directors of music at colleges you may be considering. Further information is available online. We hope that this film has given you some insight into the exceptional opportunities that we have to offer.